What is up, everybody? It is your boy Slim, aka Mr. Different. We are back with another video. Today we're going to be doing part number 3 of mastering a beat. Today we're going to be looking at EQing and why you should EQ and what's the point of EQing and everything. So if you didn't see the last part, I did mix bus compression, which we put on a nice mix bus compressor to kind of give it some mix bus glue into the beat. So check that out at the top right here. And also you can watch part 1, which I actually go through and explain everything about mastering, so you know when to master, why to master, what's the point of mastering, what did mastering come from. Give you a little brief history and overview, and actually give you some example of not master and master, so you can see if these tutorials are for you. So today we're gonna be looking at EQ. Now, why would you EQ a beat or a song in mastering? Well, when it's only a 2-track, you don't have each individual track out or anything. You just have to mix the whole beat. Well, you're pretty much just sweetening it. You're enhancing it, sweetening it, clearing it up, giving it more bass, maybe more mid-range, little prime frequencies, low cut, high cut. You're doing it over the whole mix to really get, a sweetened effect, just to kind of sweeten it. So you really want to be very gentle with these type of EQ curves and boosts and cuts. Now, when you're mixing, you can go extreme, like a lot of dB, like 6 dB or negative 6 dB. But in master, you want to keep it between 1 to 2, maybe 3 dB. You really don't want to overdo it. If you gotta do a lot of big cuts and boosts, you need to go back to your mix and fix it in the mix. So what kind of EQ we're gonna use? That's another thing a lot of people ask. Now, like I be saying in all my videos, you do not have to have third-party plugins. You don't have to have the exact plugins that I am using. I'm going to show you ways of doing it with both third-party plugins that I think are the best for, mastering in my opinion. And I also teach you how to do it with FL Studio plugins and stock plugins, because you can master a beat with stock plugins. You can make a beat with stock plugins. You can do anything with stock plugins. Don't think you have to buy or have to get whatever VST I use or anybody else use on the internet to make beats. If you believe that, you're bad at mixing. The only way you can get better at mixing is to understand what they do from the base level, which is stock plugins, and then you can decide if you need third-party plugins because they have extra features and stuff like that. So don't waste your money, because you have a ton of plugins in FL Studio that can get you up and running with making the beats and everything that you need to go, and any DAW at that. So today I'm going to be using the passive EQ, because it's a really good EQ. No, where is my passive EQ? I am passing it. There you go, passive EQ. I'm gonna be using the passive EQ because it's modeled after the manly EQ, which is a very popular EQ, very great EQ. Sounds great. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's just the stuff. But also you can use FL. Not FL, but Fab Filter Pro Q2, which I also do in that. And then hell, we'll do a little bit in, where is it at? The old faithful Fruity Parametric EQ2, because you can do it in this as well. If you don't believe me, I will show you. So let's go into my passive EQ. Now, one thing I like to do when EQing is I like to use mid-side EQ. Why mid-side EQ? Well, mid-side EQ is important to me because it allows me to edit all the low-end information and all the high information, but also it lets you focus on everything in the mono channel, which is the mids, and then the side is everything in the stereo channel, which is basically highs and lows and mids. So it lets you kind of break down the beat into 2 parts and EQ it separately. That's why I like mid-side EQing. Do you have to do mid-side EQ? No, you perfectly don't. And I will show you, what it'd be like without mid-side EQ as well when you get to the stock plugins. So let me show you what I'm gonna do right now. Now let's play the beat once again so you can get familiarized with it. So let's get into it. Didn't want to do that. So passive EQ. So what I'm basically gonna do with the beat, when I EQ beats, like I said, I like to start at wherever. Let me detach this real quick so it don't go nowhere. What I like to do is I like to enhance the lows. Enhance the lows, maybe clean the mid frequency and kind of add a little bit to the highs depending on vocals. But number one thing that I always do with any EQ is low pass, high pass filtering, because without low pass or high pass filtering, They can be your biggest and greatest tools in any type of mixing situation. You cannot go wrong with a low pass and high pass filter depending on the sound you're using. Now, I like to cut the lows to where you can't really hear, and I like to cut some of the highs where you can't really hear, because most people's ears go between 20 hertz all the way up to 20,000 hertz. Yeah. So, or 20 kilohertz if you want to say 20,000. So anything above that and below that, you're not going to hear it. You can feel it. Some people can feel it as motion and movement, but really it's just going to muddy your mix up. But by cutting those frequencies, you can actually enhance your beats. So I'll give you a little example right here. So low cut and high cut. Now I'm going to low cut and high cut the lows and highs. You're going to hear that the beat becomes a lot cleaner and a lot more, clearer to your ears and everything. So let's listen. First, we'll do a low cut or a high pass filter or a low cut. Just see how it gets a little bit cleaner. All that muddiness, that low rumbling muddiness is now gone. It is gone. So make sure you listen to it on some good headphones or some good speakers to get the full effect. I'll do it one more time. Off and then on. It makes that low end a lot clearer. Now we're gonna do the same thing to the highs. Now these are notched, so you only get certain frequencies, so you don't get to go in between, nothing like that. And that's what I like about EQs like this. They're more vintage and more, master-like. Because like I said, mastering plugins, they're notched, so you can recall them if you're, in a, like if they need to come back and remaster it, they can just write down the numbers and just turn the knobs back to where they were and get the same effect. That's the one thing I like about this stuff. So it makes you really have to think about your decisions as you're making them. So now let's do a high cut or a low pass. Simple little stuff like that. If you listen really carefully, you can really hear it's just slightly cleaning it up. And that's all we're doing. We're just sweetening a mix up. We're not going crazy with boosts and cuts. We're just sweetening it. So that's why I say, high pass, low pass, you can never go wrong. So let's get into the mid-side EQ, because a lot of people want to know what that is. No people don't know what it is. So I'm going to switch to mid-side mode. Now I can listen to the side information, which is all the low information. And this becomes the mid information will be all the lows and everything like that. And then the sides will be all the high frequencies and everything in the stereo, the left and right stereo field. So I'm a solo on so you can actually hear what mids and sides sound like. So let's listen to the mids first. So solo it. Now let's listen to the side information. See, that's very cool right there. Mid-side EQ. And you can do the same thing with Fab Filter. So very on Fab Filter, I think Fab Filter actually has a move. Fab Filter actually has a right here. Yep, mid-side mode. With boom, you can turn to mid-side mode. But if you don't have mid-side EQs, don't worry. I'm gonna show you how to do it. I'm gonna show you how to, still EQ without mid-side EQ. But anyway, let's get into it. So now I'm gonna solo my mids again, and I'm gonna just cut off a little bit of lows. And then I'm going to cut out some of the highs too. So you'll see. So I'm going to cut out about 20 hertz. So I like to do about 20 hertz, 20 to maybe 30 hertz, just to get that super low rumbling noise just gone. Maybe 25, maybe not 30. So 20 to 25 hertz. And then I'm just going to kind of cut to taste and listen to it. So. And then I unlinked them, so I'm just affecting the mids right now. Now I'm gonna kind of enhance some of that low end. So we're gonna go to about 100 hertz. Make sure it is a notch filter. I'm gonna unlink that as well, so we're not affecting. We're gonna unlink all these, so it's only affecting what side I'm doing. And now I'm going to go to 100 hertz, and I'm just gonna give it a boost about 2 dB. 2 dB. Okay, it's gonna enhance that a little bit, and then we're gonna go to the mid frequency. We got problem areas that usually be in between 400, 450. So I'm just gonna go about 390, and I'm gonna switch this to a cut, and I'm gonna do a cut about maybe 1.5 dB, and make sure the Q and widen the Q a little bit. And why you want to widen the Q? Because a wider Q actually makes it more like, I wouldn't say more transparent, which a narrower Q will make it more sharper. You can really hear the cut. I want to say we want it natural sounding. So I'm going to add that in there. So. And that's all we're going to do. I'm not worried about the high mids. I like to mess with my lows and my low mids. Don't really do too much in the high mids. If I do some in the high mids, if I had vocals, I would probably go about 4 to 5K and kind of enhance around 4 and 5K, and that would give it that would make the vocal kind of come out. So, I'll probably do about 1 to 2 dB of that as well. Now we're gonna switch over to the side information, and now we're gonna affect just the sides. Now, one thing about the sides is I don't want no low information on the sides. I want all of my side information to be stereo. I want all my, like I said, low information to be mono. So what I'm gonna do is cut all the lows out of the side information. That way it's just strictly highs and everything. So you'll see what I do when I do my cut. So now it has no low information in the sides, which that's what I like. I want all my low information to be mono, because that's one thing about it that a lot of people don't get. You want your low information, your 808s, your kicks, your bass, you want that to be mono. So I make sure all of my, like I said, all of my side information has no low end. And I'm really not gonna enhance too much. I might add some highs around like 12K, like do a boost. I'll probably do a boost around like maybe 1.6 dB, and we'll leave that alone. And I don't need the, if I had vocals, like I said, I will affect some of the vocals, that'd be some of the reverb. Around here be the reverb and stuff like that. And the effects would be stereo. So not worried about the lows. I said, because lows ain't nothing to worry about them, so we can cut them off if I want to, just so I got them. So now we're actually gonna unmute it or unsolo it, and then we're gonna listen to the before and after. And you can see it's just gonna have a subtle change, a very subtle change, but those subtle differences and subtle changes are gonna make the beat just a lot better. So turn it off so you hear the original, and then we'll go back and you can hear the actual full thing. You just hear how clear and more polished it sounds. Like without the EQ, it sounds very dark and muddy and just ugh. But when you turn that EQ on with these subtle changes, it just gets a lot cleaner. It gets a lot more polished, and it sounds like it's getting close to that final mix that you be wanting. So that's why we do very gentle EQs boosting it, because you go too but good thing about this EQ, I don't know about the other one, the manly, but I know about this one, the real manly. Probably you can really kind of go extreme with the cuts and boosts, and it still sounds natural, but I still like to be cautious when I'm doing these type of things. So now, since I showed you how to do it with a third-party plugin, I guess I gotta show you how to do it with a stock plugin, right? Of course I will. There's no problem with that. So I say Fab Filter, it's the same thing. You can do mid-side EQ in the same way. I'm just gonna show you. Let me detach it. So it's right there. All right, like I said, go to mid-side. You can right-click, go to, not right-click, but double-click, low cut, and then turn to mid-side mode. And then what you're gonna do is turn it to mid. Now it's only affecting the mids. And see, if I solo it. And then I can make another point, double click another point, turn that to side information, and then low cut. And now I can cut all the side information. this frequency. This frequency way too high. So go right here, turn that to about 20 hertz. Turn this about, that's too high too. Turn that frequency about 250. Just kind of cleans it up. Double click. Turn back to the mid information. We're going to go to about, what did I actually do with this one? We did about 390. So double click 390. And then mid information, we're going to boost about 1.2. We're going to widen that Q to make it more natural sounding. And then I think I also did a boost it. Do another one right here. Make sure it is a shelving, a high shelf at about 12K. And then we're gonna do about, make sure it's on side information and boost up a little bit. Oh no, not the band, but boost up about right there. And then make sure it's a little wider. And there you go, the exact same parameters as before. So listen to it. See, it just sweetens it up. So you don't need this EQ in order to do that. You don't need this EQ to do exactly what I did. I use the fat filter. Now, like I said, now we're gonna show you with a stop plugin because it's even better with stop plugins, right? So we're gonna detach it. Same thing. But since this is a have no mid-side EQ, and which sucks, but I hope they do make a mid-side EQ plugin. I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't take me with 100% with this. There is a way to actually turn this into a mid-side EQ. I will look it up, and when I look it up, I will definitely make a video about it so you can do that. But even if you don't, you can still EQ stuff the exact same way. So we'll just add a low cut. We'll cut about 23 hertz, as you see, 23 hertz. And then we will add another one because I like to do individual ones. We'll add another Pyramid EQ2, detach it. And then we're gonna add about, let's see, we did a boost at, what was it, 3 people outside bumping bass and stuff. Sorry about that. So we'll do about 390. If I can really, I got a whole control to really get up in there. 390. We're gonna do a boost about, we're gonna do about a 1.6 boost. Make sure it's a wider Q. Then what else did I do? I did a boost filter. I filtered out. Did 100. Oh, actually, I forgot to do the Gonna go to this one. Take this one right here. We're gonna go to about 150. Do a little boost right there. It's gonna give it a little bump. And then we need to make it a shelf. A low shelf. There you go. A low shelf. And then we're gonna kind of boop boop. Or we can use the first one. So we'll restart this one. Go to the first one. Go to 150 hertz. Bring it up. Boop boop. About. There you go. And then we're gonna do the same thing in the highs. Gonna go to about 20. Where is it at? 12K. Boost it up. Exact same parameters. Listen to before and after. This is the exact same parameters. We're just using 2 EQs as the first 2 EQs I used. Still a very good result in the end of the day. So as you can see, you can do the exact same mastering tips that I taught you, even with stock plugins. So do not let plugins hinder you from doing a good job and prevent you from making music and better mixes. So with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like I said, this was going over EQing and why you should EQ and what you should do, and just some thought process with going into the EQing stage. Like I said, remember, be very gentle. Don't do a lot of cuts. Don't do a lot of boosts. Keep them very subtle between 1 and 2 dB. You know, don't worry about your plugin. Use whatever you got and get into it. And with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I definitely, leave some feedback. Let me know what y'all think. Leave some comments if it helped. If it didn't help, anything I can explain more, I definitely will. No problem whatsoever. So with that said, hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all know who it is. Your boy Slim, a.k.a. Mr. Different. Mr. Not motivated by the money, but the like, comment, subscribe, and views. And I hope to see y'all in part number 4, where we actually go into multi-band compression. And that's going to be something a lot of people want to know before we get to limiting and actually exporting the final product. So with that being said, see y'all in the next one, and I hope y'all enjoy. Thumb it up, like it, comment, do all that, subscribe if you haven't already, and I shall see y'all in the next video. Have a good day.